weekend stream today. We're going to continue to climb, see how much farther we can get with this Hobgoblin Warrior. So far I feel pretty good about making legend with this, although I believe the climb is going to be much more difficult. Before we had a win rate of about 73%, which is really good for any deck at any level. And I actually created a separate stats line today to test or to track what the stats are like in a more competitive style rank. Okay, so up against Warrior first, and things like a Neutron can be good, but when matched up against Armorsmith, they end up being a lot less good because they're able to ping off the shield. I might try keeping a Neutron Screwjank here, because when I play turn 2 a Neutron, he'll play turn 3 Acolyte of Pain, and then I can respond by coining out the Screwjank Clunker to pump my Neutron so that he can't get 2 draws out of his Acolyte. That's one of the big keys to match up against Control Warrior, is you don't want them to draw too many cards with Acolyte of Pain. The more you can deny, the better, because that's their primary card draw engine.
What now?
Let's think about what our alternate plays are. Let's say he plays Armorsmith turn 2. I might consider coining out the Acolyte of Pain to try to get a double draw, but we're not coining out the Neutron, that's for sure.
Armor made to fit.
Alright, so this is the question. He kept the Armorsmith in his starting hand, which is pretty interesting. That's not really correct when you play against the Control Warrior mirror. Obviously, this isn't the Control Warrior mirror. So let's see. If we coin out the Acolyte of Pain, he can respond with Fiery War Axe. Fiery War Axe is a card I think he would keep, but he only kept Armorsmith, so that means you'd have to draw into it, which I feel like it's less likely that he has Fiery War Axe. I don't have a great follow-up play, unfortunately. So it might make more sense to drop the Neutron anyways. He'll probably attack to ping off the shield, and then he may use a weapon. And then, what is my response after that? Turn 3, I could just draw the Acolyte, but I don't want to drop it in front of his weapon, so maybe I'll coin out the Shredder. Overall, I don't really like any of my options. That I might even just pass this turn. Alright, let's get the Neutron into play, because if he does have a weapon, then I think this will force out the weapon. Alright, he just shield blocks, which is good, which means you can coin out the Screwjank here and finish off this Armorsmith. All the while keeping our taunt, our Neutron, which he still needs to deal with. So that told me that he most likely didn't have a weapon. The fact that he shield blocked meant he didn't have like an Acolyte of Pain or anything, and that he needs to cycle cards to try to get a better draw. Alright, so we'll hold on to the Acolyte and the Cruel Task here, and we'll develop the best minion we have. This is going to take him multiple cards to be able to remove efficiently on its own. So he'll probably weapon the Screwjank unless he is more worried about the piloted Shredder. And then if he plays Sludge Belcher, I might be in a bit of a tough spot. I do need a weapon follow-up, but to play it in that order is also kind of interesting. Let's see. So I suppose we can attack with the Shredder, finish it off with the Cruel Task, and finish off the slime that spawns with our Screwjank here, leaving us with 3 mana left to play a card. We have 3 minions on board after that. If we play the Acolyte, it would be overextending into Brawl, so I don't think we want to do that. alternate plays is we could just run both of these in and then play Acolyte plus Task, but I don't really like that. So we'll see what we get from the Shredder first. Okay, so this Knife Juggler does give us some other options potentially. I could go for 2 50-50 plays, but I won't be that greedy. And we'll just armor up. We'll save the Cogmaster and the Acolyte for Hobgoblin, or maybe just save one of them. I want to see what he does with this Death Spite here. If he has a Whirlwind, then he has a pretty nice clear, plus enough mana to follow up with a decent-sized drop. 5 mana, and you can drop another Sludge Belcher behind it, which should put me really on the back foot. I mean, overall, we're in a pretty decent situation. Just depends on what his best response is here. He did not opt to use the Death Spite last turn, so this seems like a reasonable response. Sludge Belcher was on curve. Oh, that's pretty good for him. Alright, so he's drawn multiple cards with the Acolyte, and our board is empty, but at least it's a relatively small drop. Let's see, we could play Hobgoblin here, but we would most likely just have our Hobgoblin killed after playing whatever cards we do, and it'd be only one buffed card. But the alternate play is that we don't really have an alternate play. Dr. Boom comes down next turn. So this deck does run Warsong Commander, so it's like a bit of a hybrid of everything. So yeah, like I might just play Hobgoblin here as sort of a tempo play. Not a tempo play, just to fill in my drop. But I would prefer to save it so I could drop multiple minions. But it's either play Hobgoblin and an Acolyte, or just drop a Mech Warper. Well, he's just used a Death Spite, and I guess you'd have to play a weapon to kill it. I guess I will play the Hobgoblin. If by some miracle he doesn't have an answer for the Hobgoblin, that's great. Because he also kind of needs to respond to the Acolyte of Pain threat of drawing multiple cards. But it wouldn't surprise me if, like, say, he attacked the Hobgoblin with a Fiery War Axe and killed my Acolyte of Pain with an Execute. As I think he'll recognize that my deck is a very aggressive, rushy deck, and he can't afford to save the Executes for things that are too big. With the number of cards he drew with the Acolyte, like, I can't imagine him not being able to kill this Hobgoblin, so I'm just assuming that this Hobgoblin is going to die. No. Alright. So, this is potentially interesting, but the Dr. Boom is a huge problem for me. I guess I should draw a card first before making any other decisions. So we'll trade draws here. Death Spite, okay. And then I think I'll probably play a Dr. Boom of my own. Alternately, I could play Cogmaster and Death Spite. As with the Dr. Boom in play, he is committing a fair amount to the board as well. Get some more value out of Hobgoblin while it's still in play. Alright, I'll just play my own Dr. Boom, I guess. And I'll get rid of this Boom bot. Damn. Alright, so there's a Warsong Commander. We still have Frothing Berserker in our deck. Alright, so we played Death's Spite, we killed the Sludge Belcher. And then we don't have a lot of plays following up. We might just have to eat a lot of damage this turn. Yep, we just armor up and we wait. I'm trying to think, like, we're in a pretty bad situation right now, and part of it, I'm trying to recall exactly where it is it started to go downhill, and if we could have avoided it. It's good that he's not playing any other legendaries to follow up. Maybe he doesn't feel like he needs it. We're still in this game because we have Jeeves. Alright, so we play Commander, and we play MechWarrior. That is 6 mana, which leaves us 3 mana left to play a bunch of cards.
What now?
I'm trying to think. Alright, we play Warsong Commander, MechWarrior. We have 3 mana left. We can still play Jeeves, and we can play 1 Cogmaster, so we can get 2 draws. I
wonder.
I kind of want to be able to save my Death Spite. But I don't think... Alright, we won't save our Death Spite here. So we play MechWarrior. We play the 3 Warbot. We play the Jeeves. We play the Cogmaster. We throw the Cogmaster in. And then we get our double draws. A somewhat underwhelming turn, in my opinion. So we're protected from Growmash. Growmash Task still wins in the game. And we're most likely going to lose our Jeeves. So that's it for our draws. It's a shame that we actually draw 2 weapons. Looks like he does have the finisher. That's too bad. Well, we went for it. Not the best start, but I was expecting the games to be a lot harder, and I haven't played against a lot of control warriors with this deck. It's a matchup that I'm still trying to figure out. You need to balance between, like, full-out aggression and value and tempo. And I'm not sure which one, like, because sometimes you have plays where you focus more on value or you focus more on tempo. For that game, I didn't really feel like I had a sense of exactly what I should be doing all the time. I'm just making a lot of plays based off of intuition. Our inability to deal with Dr. Boom was a pretty big deal, and I think we might have been able to alter the course of the game if we played it differently. I think if we didn't play our own Dr. Boom, it might have been a little different. I don't know if it would be a good kind of different. Alright, so we're going to mulligan assuming this is Mech Mage, and we want 2 drops and 1 drops mainly. So MechWarrior allows us to open really strong openers against Mech Mage. Because here we can coin out the MechWarrior and Warbot, and whatever he plays shouldn't be a problem. Like, he could play a Clockwork Gnome, but like I said, he'll still have to hero power to be able to deal with what we have here. So now, whatever he plays, we can just kill with our minions, or we could even just fire War Axe. Now, the MechWarrior might merit enough threat that he Frostbolts, and that actually puts us ahead in tempo. If he doesn't Frostbolt it, then we start to snowball this game. Alright, so that is a really excellent play for us. The Flame Cannon actually tells us a lot. Tells us that he's not playing traditional Mech Mage. So we can play the Taskmaster here, or we can play the Fiery War Axe. Taskmaster actually is a little bit more appealing, as I think the difference between 2 and 3 life isn't that big of a deal right now. And we can still follow it up with a Screwjank next turn. alternately, we might want the Taskmaster as a means of eating a mirror entity, which makes the Fiery War Axe a better play here. Okay, so what are his turn 3 plays? In this deck, I don't actually know.
What now?
Alright, I'll go for the Taskmaster play here. But I'm acting kind of in the dark, because I don't know what kind of common cards are run in this deck. This also helps if he has a second Flame Cannon. Well, just as I was saying, playing the Cruel Task meant that he could miss on the MechWarrior, and he did. So turn 4, he could play Water Elemental. I would expect to see Water Elemental in a deck like this. Which, how do I deal with Water Elemental the best? I think I would play the Piloted Shredder here, and then when he plays the Water Elemental, I can buff the Piloted Shredder or the MechWarrior, preferably the Piloted Shredder, so that the Water Elemental dies. Okay. I do want to protect my Piloted Shredder here, so I'm thinking about playing the War Axe and then seeing what spawns. It's most likely going to trade with my Piloted Shredder. Also need to be prepared for Sludge Belcher next turn. I mean, I could Shredder and kill his Shredder, or I could just go full on aggro, because I can deal 10 damage this turn, it puts him at 12, and then he still needs to deal with what's on board.
What now?
It's not like a very common play for me to do, because I don't like aggressive decks, but this deck, you know, is aggressive. So I put him down to 12 if I Screwjank my Piloted Shredder, and alright, let's try that. We don't do this very often. But I think, like, even if he drops a Sludge Belcher, he has to deal with many threats at the same time. I may get punished if he's playing sort of the Molten Giant version of this. Ooh. That's really awkward for him, because now if he plays something, it's gonna end up dying to Doomsayer, but at the same time, this is quite annoying for me. So let's see, what can we actually do here? Are we able to kill the Doomsayer? I don't think so. So I guess we kill the Sludge Belcher so that he doesn't have any slime. And I think I might as well equip my weapon. And, So I feel like I'm getting somewhat punished for this, but say I did kill the Piloted Shredder last turn, I would and say it would have spawned a Doomsayer anyways, I think it would have been just as bad, probably worse. So I don't think I want to attack him with this weapon quite yet, so I'll just Hero Power and pass. At the very least, you know, I still have this Shredder's spawn up, so I don't lose too much tempo, but I do lose more tempo than I would like. Okay, so Unstable Portal makes it seem like his hand is very weak. Alright, so this Death Spite draw actually makes it so that I should have attacked with my weapon last turn, as I would have been able to kill him much faster. That's something that I wasn't considering, and I should start considering that more, that I need to spend my weapons aggressively with this deck. Okay, so Lotheb isn't really scary for me here. Oh, look at all those weapons. as I hardly even run any weapons in my deck. So, I mean, we play the Frothing because, you know, we might as well. And now he needs to drop a taunt or a heal, and he needs to have one more spell to clear my board. So we're in a pretty good position. He's already used one Sludge Belcher, so I think the likelihood of him having a taunt is lower. And also, there's not really a whole lot of options I could have done my very last turn, so there's nothing to regret here. I can regret not attacking my Fiery War Axe earlier. I will say, though, this guy got really unlucky with both his Flame Cannons. He missed the 50-50 on the Mech Warper, which would have been a very big deal.
What to do? What to do?
Alright, so note to self, I need to aggressively spend my weapons more because of the sheer number of weapons in this deck. I mean, 4 isn't a lot, but it's enough that, you know, say you already have a weapon equipped, you have 3 weapons left in your deck. Drawing any of those weapons might mean that they get clogged in your hand and don't get a whole lot of utility.
What to do? What to do?
Oh, looks like he just gave up. Look at that, my 4th weapon. Alright. Alright, so we're 1-1 so far since rank 5. Well, we did play a few games in rank 5 in the previous stream, but we're 1-1 today. The Control Warrior matchup, I think, was not in our favor. It was possible we could have made it closer, but I don't know if we could have actually won that game. Okay, Paladin is also another fairly difficult matchup. I like Jeeves in this matchup, but he's most likely not going to be a turn 4 play. Usually I think he is a turn 6, 7, or 8 play. And if I have 6 or 7 or 8 turns to draw into him, it's better than keeping him in my opening hand. So the main issue with this matchup about why it's so difficult is it's really hard to recover from a really strong Quartermaster or a muster Quartermaster play. To some extent you can, kill off tokens, but it's still very difficult.
Reporting for duty.
So originally I thought about playing the Task here, to sort of protect myself from Consecrate. But I drew into a Frothing Berserker here, which is really nice. So the next thing I need to watch out for is Equality Pyromancer or Quality Consecrate, which isn't for a few turns. Nat app 86 has been so long since you stream. Yeah, I'm trying to stream more regularly now. I would stream longer, but my time these days is a little bit tight. So, alright, so we'll clear the Shredder here. We may be overextending a lot into Master Removal. That's not good at all for me, because now we can True Silver and then just kill off the Frothing Berserker. I think ideally it would have been something with 2 toughness so I could trade the Warbot. But if he... Coghammer is interesting. So he's able to kill a few things with it. But he gives up anyways, because I guess the Frothing is going to grow to epic proportions. Alright, so 2-1, 66% win rate, which is pretty respectable. Circonicious, wow, just logged on. Crazy board position for 4 mana. Yeah, seriously. I mean, Frothing Berserker, excellent snowball card if you can protect it. Alright, so up against Mage, and as I've been saying a lot, we always assume that it's Mech Mage, and we're looking for 2-drops, 1-drops, things to contest super early board. Cruel Task actually is not a good drop by itself, so I'm going to mulligan them and hope that I get Cogmaster Warbot Fiery War Axe. Alright, this is pretty good for us. So how could this be better? We draw into Mech Warper, we draw into Warbot. Fiery War Axe gives us the means to protect our early drops, so we could coin out the Mech Warper, then use the Fiery War Axe to protect it. And then hopefully we draw into something like Shredder by turn 3 or something. Mana Worm. Alright, so this changes the sequencing in which we're going to play our cards. We're going to actually coin out the Fiery War Axe, or we could have even just not played anything at all and passed this turn, which is a little bit greedier, but also potentially stronger in the longer run. Because if, say, he doesn't have a play this turn, this coined Fiery War Axe essentially did nothing except kill the Mana Worm 1 turn early. Alright, but looks like the coined Fiery War Axe actually does sort of pay off here. We will be killing this Mad Bomber and play the only card that we can right now. Interesting deck so far. Mana Worm and Mad Bomber. I guess Mad Bomber is to deal with a lot of the aggro decks, since he's a really strong arena card when you play it, when your opponent plays like really early drops. Alright, so Mad Scientist, we're obviously going to play around Mirror Entity. So we'll probably drop the Frothing Berserker. It forces him to need to deal with the Frothing Berserker. Alternately, we could drop Hobgoblin, but I think Frothing is just too strong to pass up. SB Derp says, I think this is Tiddler's Aggro Mage. It probably is. I mean, I played one of them earlier. I don't know how prevalent it is. And I also don't know the exact deck list. If it runs Mad Bomber, then yeah, it's probably Tiddler's Aggro Mage. I know his Aggro Mage does run Ice Block. Oh, okay. Thanks for the link.
I wonder.
Yeah, if I was very, very serious about climbing, I would absolutely do my research on all the decks. Alright, yeah, this actually matches the exact profile of Tiddler's Aggro Mage. And that actually makes this matchup potentially really good for us, because our hero power will basically close the gap in terms of his lethal damage and our life total. Do I really want to give him a Screwjang Clanker? Well, I don't really feel like I have much better plays. The nice thing is I'm able to hero power as well, and I could execute it. There aren't a lot of things that I want to be executing, and if the Aggro Mage doesn't run Mirror Entity, then this actually becomes a really strong play. Oh, so I guess it's Ice Block. So now, we have board control. So what we're going to do from here on is we're going to be super protective of our life total. So we're always going to hero power every turn. We're always going to hero power unless there is a better play. And I think there is a better play here. I think I can afford to forego the hero power and instead play the Hobgoblin, Acolyte of Pain, and Warbot all together, or I could even consider executing for all my mana. I think there aren't a lot of targets to execute, so execute maintains my board state the best, but I won't be able to hero power. But with 3 cards, he's not going to be able to win with that. So, alright, let's trade in and execute. And we'll save the Warbot for the Hobgoblin next turn.
Let the pain speak to me.
Alright, so here we do need to be a little bit careful as, you know, from this Acolyte of Pain he's drawing a couple cards. Again, I don't think we have many targets to execute, so I think it's worth denying him the card. And then with 5 cards, I don't think he can kill me with 5 cards at 25 life. Yeah, so I think I'm going to opt for the execute play. And then we'll play Hobgoblin, Warbot, Acolyte. And we're actually missing a turn of hero power here. But the average damage per card in this deck, I think, is about 4 or 5. So if we say that each card in his hand, at best, does 4 damage, he has 20 points of damage in hand. And he still needs several turns to be able to unload it all.
What to do? What to do?
Like, I really don't think there's anything he can do.
Well played. You win.
Yeah, now he concedes. You're right. That's one of the strengths of this mech deck, this warrior mech deck, as opposed to, say, a mage mech deck, is my hero power can help me deal with burst-oriented decks. Whereas, like, for example, Frost Mage or Freeze Mage would be a really interesting matchup. Because on the one hand, I can hero power every turn if I want to make Freeze Mage's life really difficult, which gives me sort of like a semi-alternate win condition. Whereas Freeze Mage would just like freeze out mech decks. Alright, so we're up against another mage. And it's not the same one. Cogmaster MechWarrior is a really good opener. Although if he plays a 1-drop, then Cogmaster might not be able to be played without losing value. He did keep 1 card, and I'm a little bit worried that's a 1-drop. Alright, let's see. I think Coin, MechWarrior, Warbot is the best play. I'm not sure. Or what would he have to do? He could Frostbolt at best. And then just go face, I think. That would be pretty strong. Or Flame Cannon, even. Assuming that, like, Tiddler's Aggro Mage is becoming more and more popular, I think I'm okay with this. I think I probably would have liked to be able to pass a turn. I also don't want to fall behind too much on board if he drops, like, say, a Mad Scientist next turn. Because if this Mana Worm is not dealt with, it could very easily snowball into being worth 3, 4, 5 points of damage before it dies.
I'll show them all.
Alright, so it's still not 100% clear what he's playing, but I think killing the Mana Worm is a priority here. He'll trade the Mad Scientist, which means what exactly? I'll have a 2/2.
What now?
Which means I could play Acolyte or Frothing, but if he gets Mirror Entity'd, it's a problem. If it's Tiddler's Aggro Mage, then this isn't a problem at all. I guess I'll play the MechWarrior, and we'll get rid of the Mana Worm.
Battle commencing.
Like, it might work out for us if he decides to trade in the Cogmaster instead. But, like I said, if this is Aggro Mage, we're already putting him on the back foot. That's an interesting ping. So... two lines of play. If we think it's Mirror Entity, then we play Frothing Berserker and we double trade. If we think it's Ice Block, we play the Screwjank, we buff our guy. I mean, I guess Frothing Berserker is a safer play. Because Mirror Entity gives him some pushback. He can still trade. So we'll play the Frothing. On the other hand, we now don't have a target for the Screwjank, which is noticeably worse for us. But it's pretty easy for us to draw into more. So it isn't Tiddler's Aggro Mage, as it does run Mirror Entity. And Frostbolt, does he hero power it too? Or does he have a 2-drop? Nope, he just kills it straight up. Okay. Do we want to play Screwjank on an empty board? Not thrilled with this. We may just Fiery War Axe and attack. How can this start to snowball against us? I feel like if we play the Death Spite and attack, we're losing out on a lot of value. Let's say he plays Sludge Belcher next turn, then having the Death Spite attack I think is really good, but if he doesn't have it, this is kind of risky. So I'm trying to think, if we play the Screwjank into Mirror Entity instead, and I guess we buffed trade. This doesn't develop our board as much as we would like. But we're still able to kill something of up to 4 toughness next turn. And that unfortunately isn't that great for us. So probably, what, play the Shredder? Or maybe attack, see what we draw? I guess there's nothing that we could draw that would be really that useful.
What now?
I mean, I guess we'll play the Shredder and... I feel like I've already messed up this game. Could also Commander, trade, have the Frothing trade in, but I really want to save this Frothing for more value. And, like, do we want to attack this Lotheb at all? Probably not. His deck is a little bit confusing. I'm wondering if maybe it runs Flame Strikes. There's the Flame Strike. Ah, damn it. And, I could start to posture for lethal. But I also feel like this Lotheb needs to be dealt with somewhat.
I wonder.
I know I'm going to hero power. I just want to decide whether I want to attack this now or I want to start lowering his life total. Well, he's more on the control side. So let's say I think I need to start working on this. I probably should have done this last turn. I would have been able to kill the Lotheb now. I'm not really as afraid of being bursted down. At least he can't Flame Strike again this turn and clear my board. Is this duplicate? No, I don't think he would have attacked the way he did if it was duplicate. I'm trying to think if I'd done that differently. I would have attacked him twice with Fiery War Axe. He would be at substantially less life.
Someday I'll be just like you.
Alright, let's plan several turns in advance. Let's say I attack him twice.
What now?
That puts him at 17. And I don't think I'd be able to kill him unless I had double Frothing Berserker in that case. So Mirror Entity will provide me one extra minion in play. I guess the only way like this can really be good for me is if I kill the Piloted Shredder and it ends up being Unstable Ghoul. I think I should have gone all face because then he would have been in combo range. But with this instead, I think he's a little bit too far out. We'll experiment a little bit here. Let's see if it's possible for him to be in striking distance.
I'll show them. I'll show them all.
Yeesh. Okay. Perhaps we have overestimated this a little bit. But yeah, like this still won't be enough. What's the best way to go about this? Five, 7. There's 7 minions on the board. So that's 7 damage. 10. That could have gone better, but this is fun, at least to try this. I think... Where did it go wrong? Like, I think I should have ignored the Lotha, but the thing is, I didn't draw into the combo pieces until, like, this late. So... Unfortunately, we couldn't build our battle plan around this. But, that's okay. You could say it's for science. So, like, had I known that I would draw into my Deathspite Warsong Commander Frothing combo... Well, I guess I did have Frothing and Warsong Commander, and I drew into Deathspite later. So, I guess maybe I could have planned around it. Diverse Soil says, no offense, actually this is a compliment, but this is the most screwed up looking warrior deck I have seen, but it is very effective. Yeah, I mean, it runs counter to what a lot of people feel like a warrior deck should be like. I feel like that game was winnable, but because of the way we played it, it ended up looking like a disaster. Assuming this is Zulok, we really want the Fiery War Axe. I think a Neutron isn't really that great. And Cogmaster Warbot combos are pretty reasonable. Alright, so we open with Warbot. There's no point to save it with the MechWarrior right now. If I had a Hobgoblin, it might change my decisions here. He mulliganed everything, so he's more likely to be Handlock. That doesn't really change what we do here too much. Handlock is actually a really difficult matchup. Warsong Commander makes this matchup a lot closer. Alright, but he's not Handlock, which is nice. So playing the MechWarrior is probably the best play here. He does have the ability to kill our MechWarrior. That would require Abusive Sergeant, which is very possible, but the risk-reward here is pretty high. I think playing the Fiery War Axe and killing this 1/1 is not worth it. So it's very, very tempting to play the Screwjank here. He's going to be able to trade into our MechWarrior anyways, and then he'll leave us with a 2/5 on the board. But if we play Fiery War Axe...
What now?
And then, let's see, he's already used coins, so turn 3, he'd have to have a turn 3 play. We'd probably most likely be able to play Screwjank regardless. And we have so many weapons that I feel like we might as well start working through them. So I feel like this is a better play, because otherwise these cards are dead cards, and I think it's very likely we'll still be able to play our Screwjank for value next turn. Like, it's not likely, uh-oh. Alright, maybe I'm about to eat my words. Damn. Totally just ate my words there. But we drew all 4 weapons, which actually still makes it sort of the right play. I'll also say that the Screwjank Clunker isn't a card that is key to this deck. I'm actually not super fond of it. It's been sometimes good, but sometimes mediocre, and it's a very replaceable card. So many weapons, so many weapons. I'm thinking about actually pumping the Screwjank to a 4/4 and then using the weapon to kill the Leper Gnome. What is his likely play? If he buffs the Neruban Egg, we'll drop a Deathspite and we'll kill it, and we'll still have the 4/4 punching him every turn. And that's assuming that he even has a way to buff the Neruban Egg. What would I replace for? I think Piloted Sky Golem is a good pick. What other things? Maybe Micro Machine, but I haven't tested that, which is something I've been meaning to test. Micro Machine has good synergies with both mechs and Hobgoblin, which is really cool, and it also fits the theme of cards that get more threatening as each turn passes. Things like Hobgoblin will continually give you more value if you have other small minions to play with it, so everybody's going to kill that as soon as possible. Same thing with Frothing Berserker, gets bigger every time damage is dealt. So Micro Machine is really cool in that regard, but I haven't been like a huge fan of it. Because the deck is already very tight on a lot of The deck is already tight in a lot of space. Yeah, I mean, those are things you could definitely try. I'm trying to think what other things would be good. People have suggested a lot of things, and there have been a lot of good ideas thrown around.
My shield for Argus.
No, none come to mind at the moment. So he's still holding a fair amount of cards. This actually makes Jeeves decent for us. Alright, not a lot of choice here, unless we equip the Death Spite, but I think this is still... Yeah, Junkbot is a card that I'm very iffy about. Oh, look at that. We have full combo. It's gonna take a few turns for us to get it off, so that means we need to not die.
Put this apple on your head.
My shield for Argus.
Damn. Alright, but that's both Arguses.
Let me get back.
Which means the only other taunt that I'm really concerned about would be, Voidwalker. Okay, let's look at this for a moment.
What now?
He has... I think I'm dead. I guess I need to use, I think I'm dead.
I wonder.
Even if we hero power, that's too much to deal with, so... That means I'd have to use Warsong Commander. Kill the Flame Imp. And then hero power. I mean, I guess it's the only play we have. So we did get a little unlucky with some juggles, but I'm not going to say like that is like the reason we lost. Well, I mean, it is the reason we lost, but it's not an excuse. Because you have to be able to, you know, good deck should be able to find ways to win regardless of things like that. I'm trying to think if I took any like really, really big risks. But I felt like this was also a winnable game. But I might have utilized my resources poorly. I think... Oh, that's right. I took the risk of saying how I didn't think there was any way for him to deal 1 damage to my MechWarrior. But he had Knife Juggler and won a 50-50, and then he Knife Juggled later and hit my Noyotron. If it weren't for those, I would have won. Or it would have been closer, let me put it that way.
Versus Jaina.
But, you know, you just move past it. Sometimes you get bad RNG, sometimes you get good RNG. SB Derp says, think you're going to struggle when you draw all 4 weapons in the first state. Yeah, probably, but... So a Noyotron task is something that might be worth keeping. Although, like, ideally I want Cogmaster or about Fiery War Axe. Alternately, I could try playing Noyotron turn 2, use the Cruel Task, and maybe, or coin out the Death Spite. Let's give this a try. This is a lot less reliable hand. It's not one of those clearly OP hands, because I don't have MechWarrior for one, and I don't have Fiery War Axe. We're not going to coin anything out here, as the premise of keeping the Death Spite is that we'd coin it out and have it on turn 3.
I'll show them. I'll show them all.
Huh. So we could coin out the commander here. Doesn't sound great. So he'll run the, he may hero power, which I would be fine with. But it'd make more sense for him not to hero power. But yeah, drawing all weapons is the same as, say, a control deck drawing all their late game cards, except that you have more ways to use them. It's like if you have 2 weapons in hand, then you should start planning around that. Whereas if you have one weapon in hand and then you draw 2 weapons in a row, it might be a little bit harder to plan for that.
Portals online.
Okay, so this Mech Warper is going to merit a coin death spite, I think.
Time runs out on me.
And then we can use the Death Spite Whirlwind to kill the Mad Scientist or kill what gets copied. Okay, this changes things a little bit. We attack, get off the shield. I really do want to save my coin if at all possible. Alright, see you, Beverage Soil. Thank you for hanging out, and thanks for the nice comments. Alright, so we can ping off the shield, and we're either going to coin out the Death Spite or we're going to use our Fiery War Axe. Is there any way to punch? I think so.
What now?
Alright, so we're getting rid of the Divine Shield here. And I want the Whirlwind effect, as the 4 damage I might actually need as well if he plays a Blast Mage this turn. No plays. Alright. This makes this turn really awkward. Makes me wish I played the Fiery War Axe instead, as it would allow me to kill this in a more efficient manner. Because I want to save the Death Spite for the Acolyte of Pain, but that doesn't look like it's going to be possible.
I wonder.
I mean, I guess I could play the Acolyte first, right?
Let the pain speak to me.
I mean, I guess this was always the right play. I just, for some reason, thought that he would get an Acolyte as well. You can convince yourself of some pretty crazy things when you're trying to stream and explain your plays at the same time. Alright, so Mirror Entity. We know this is Mirror Entity. We play Warsong Commander. It gets copied. And that's not good. But we have multiple copies of Warsong Commander here. So we play Warsong Commander. Oh no, I think Cogmaster actually might be a better play if we can kill it immediately. Or even if it's not immediately, it's not really that big of a deal. So I think Cogmaster weapon, Cruel Task makes the most sense.
I wonder.
I can fix anything. I can fix anything.
I think the sequencing could have been different. But this does get us our board clear, and it does give us the initiative. We have really nice card advantage. You could say these 2 Jeeves don't really count. And he actually has no plays this turn, so it feels like he might just be sitting on like double Fireball Antonitis. So we gotta be careful about that. Alright, so we play the Warsong Commander, and it gets copied. We'll have the Cogmaster trade with it.
Charge forward. Charge forward.
We could even use Cruel Task and use this Cruel Task to trade with it, but I want to save Cruel Task plus Execute
I'll worry. I'll fix portals.
if he plays something big.
The light does not deceive.
He's a Mystic. Interesting. Alright, so easy Axe play, easy Dr. Boom play. Although I do need to be careful about massive burst damage just coming from his hand. And here, the Warsong Commander bug would have... Well, that's game, but it would have allowed us to charge Boombots if it wasn't bugged. Okay, so how are we doing today? I know, this is going to be a really short stream, but we're 4-3, and I think we could have won at least one of those games that we lost, so we could be 5-2. 5-2 is actually a really good record. So I do have a lot of faith in this deck. I'm a believer of this deck now. I was very skeptical at first, but it has been performing admirably against a lot of the common decks of the metagame.
Garrosh versus Uther.
Like I said, it by no means is going to dominate anything, but
Victory or death!
it's competitive enough that I can enjoy playing it. Like, I have to play it, and still I can win a fair number of games with it. Alright, at least... Okay, so we curve out here. Cogmaster, I think, is preferable over Warbot. We have the Fiery War Axe to protect the Cogmaster if he coins out the Knife Juggler. If he coins out the Shielded Minibot, it made the Warbot would have been a better play. Which, as I was saying it, I should have done it the other way, because the 3 damage actually isn't that relevant. So I think I need to trade into this now, which is really, really unfortunate. If I played the Warbot, it would have changed the whole complexion of this game. Unfortunately, this is what I gotta do, so I gotta do it. Fighting Bulldog asks, what would you say is the win condition of this deck? The Frothings or just strong board presence? Yeah, I think the win condition is just strong board presence. Think of it's like, what is Mech Mage's win condition? It's just like overwhelm you with their early game, and that's kind of what the win condition of this is too, except that I have a late game combo too. I don't know if I should be happy or sad about that equality. But yeah, this is one of those situations where these multiple weapons mean that I need to start using them, even if it's just for hitting for face. And I want to play Warbot and Cruel Task, but I also don't want to play Right and Consecrate, because I need to start emptying my hand for Jeeves and developing more board presence. So I might consider actually playing Cruel Task before I play the Warbot. But let's take some risks. We already made a few mistakes, and I would say I'm already behind. So I'm going to take some chances. Because this deck, essentially, I would say, kind of like, it's like walking on eggshells. It's if you fall behind on tempo, if you make one or two small mistakes, that could very easily be the end of the game. Okay, so we're attacking here for sure, and I think it makes sense to actually get the Death Spite set up for the Sludge Belcher. I could play the Annoyotron, meaning that I preserve my board, but I also end up developing my weapon slower, and I'm not able to play 2 cards next turn. Next turn is turn 6, I can play a 4-drop and a 2-drop, but if I play Annoyotron now, I can't do that. So we'll just attack with this. I mean, and we have 16 points, or I guess it's now 12 points of damage in hand, or in the queue. So that means we only need to deal 7 more points of damage. Alright, Antique Healbot suggests that, alright, maybe we, maybe we can't go pure face. Maybe you have to control the game a little bit more. Kill the Healbot. Play a Neotron and Jeeves. That's only 1 card. Does he have a way to get rid of the Jeeves? Might be a Silence. Would he keep a Silence? If I get my Jeeves silenced, that is just so terrible. But if I just play the Death Spite instead, I'm weak against Harrison, and I also end up getting my Neotron killed. Or not killed, but I lose this Divine Shield. Alright, we'll like I said, we'll take some chances here. I mean, at the bare minimum, we got a card, which is kind of okay. But let's see if he's got a Silence or a way to deal with this Jeeves. I mean, even Sylvanas would be kind of an issue for us. Alright, so we have an opportunity to actually unload a lot of our hand at the cost of spending our Execute. But I think constantly reloading our hand is too good to pass up. If we play Dr. Boom, we don't end up reloading our hand, even though we play a really dominating board. So I'm going to play Cruel Task and execute this. And then I actually want to preserve the Divine Shield, so I'm going to miss out on some damage to be able to do it this way. I think this Divine Shield is extremely valuable. It might be the thing that prevents him from ever killing our Jeeves. Alright, we have a second Jeeves, that's great. So we'll play Warsun Commander, and probably with the Screwjank. Attack into the Sludge Belcher, maybe attack their Screwjank into the Sludge Belcher. I guess no need to even attack with our weapon yet, and we'll draw 1 card out of this. So I guess we play Commander first.
Defensive systems online. Ramming speed.
I mean, there is a case for actually sacrificing my Cruel Task instead, as it avoids Consecrate a little bit better. But okay, so let's say he does Consecrate after attacking with the shielded Minibot. Alright, let's play around Consecrate just a little bit. And we'll tap off this Divine Shield. Even if he does have Consecrate, we have a second Jeeves, which I think I'm okay with. Because the Consecrate isn't going to hit an awful lot. Alright, looks like Muster Quarter. That's a really difficult thing for us to deal with. That's a lot of value. Alright, we have what, 5? 2, 3. Might be another occasion where we dump our hand. Or we could just play Dr. Boom and... No, Dr. Boom doesn't net us any cards from Jeeves. I don't want to really play double Jeeves.
I wonder.
Alright, I guess I might even Dr. Boom execute here. But I think I might need the execute to punch through.
For the Wilson!
Ramming speed.
Ah, I panicked. I did not do what I wanted to do. I wanted to execute, but then I changed my mind. These board states are actually a lot more complicated than I thought they would be.
Follow the rules.
Alright, he must have a big game hunter here if he makes that play. And he kills the Jeeves, which is actually really good for me.
Reporting for duty.
Because in this position, it looks like this is a top deck war that I can win. So we'll play the Acolyte of Pain first. I guess no, we'll run the Boombots in. And then... we kill off the Aldor Peacekeeper. And I guess we could play the Boombot as well. And... do I want to play Jeeves here? Well, let's say the last card is Lay on Hands. That makes Jeeves actually a really good play, and he still isn't able to kill it. And I'll save the Execute, because he's very likely to draw into something big enough worth executing.
Follow the rules.
Alright, so now we're playing the Jeeves game.
Reporting for duty.
We still have a Frothing and a Warsong Commander. Alright, so we can dump our entire hand here.
I can fix anything.
I probably should have run this Acolyte in first to see what I drew. That actually could be a huge, huge deal to me. But I'm actually gonna go all face here, I think. Or mostly all face.
Yes, sir.
Battle commencing.
I mean, what is the likelihood that... Oh, man. That actually, I think, is a really... I made a really big mistake. I should have drawn first, because then I could have gotten that Hobgoblin. Yeah, I knew it the minute I did it, too. And then, like, both these guys would have been buffed. Gosh, I'm not playing well. But you guys definitely see the potential of this deck. It's, like I said, it's a little bit more complex than it appears at first glance. But I'm sure you guys could play a lot better than me off stream. Alright, but he does get rid of Jeeves. And, second Hobgoblin. Okay.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
Alright, so we have only 4 cards left in our deck. And none of them can be buffed by Hobgoblin, so I'm going to play both of them. Man, so many mistakes were made. This is such a winnable game, too. Alright, we're actually not afraid of Dr. Boom.
Reporting for duty.
I forgot we don't have any more Warwind effects left. So actually, I think we lose. Like, even if we execute this, let's just move on. Not a great showing today. Sorry about that. Okay. Couple more games, then I need to go. But yeah, the decisions that you need to make in this deck end up being, like I said, a lot more complex than I originally thought. Unlike Mech Mage, you actually do need to plan ahead for the future, as you do have various combos, you have some really strong draw engines, and you have a lot of synergies. You need to weigh the risk and reward about playing a card now for immediate value versus playing a card for the future for a lot more value. Alright, let's try to get our shit together. Warbot by itself is actually really weak, especially if he coins out into a Knife Juggler, unless it's backed up by something. So I don't know if I actually want to keep this. On the other hand, it does nullify his hero power, and it allows us. It does actually trade with Shielded Minibot. Acolyte of Pain is also a decent keep, assuming again he doesn't have Knife Juggler. I think Knife Juggler is becoming less and less common, and this Fiery War Axe is exactly what we're looking for, because it basically gives us an answer for the main card that will give us issue in our opener. So for example, this Warbot you could say is kind of like bait, because it makes him want to coin out a Knife Juggler so he can kill it for free. Well, not free, but kill it without, you know, losing any cards. And then we'll probably play the Acolyte of Pain on curve. It does give him the opportunity to coin True Silver it.
Put this apple on your head.
Let the pain
Battle commencing.
R. Luther 07 says, Razor Blade, can you start playing Heroes of the Storm? Probably not on stream. You guys probably wouldn't enjoy watching me play it anyways. As I'm not very good. Alright, so several options. We can Annoyotron, or we can Screwjank. Screwjank is probably our best bet here. And we could kill the Shredder, but then what pops out could affect a lot, like, could end up trading with the Warbot, or could end up eating with the eating the Acolyte of Pain. I think a 2/3 is ideal. What does Annoyotron do for us? I don't think it does quite enough. So we'll Screwjank, and then now the question is, do we even want to kill it? Do we even want to kill the piloted Shredder? As most of the time you don't want to kill it if you can't get rid of it completely, or if it doesn't do anything for you. Because what does this do? Like, he's going to run the Acolyte into... run the Shredder into the Acolyte, and then I can use the Screwjank. So yeah, I'm actually going to send this all at face. Next turn I can Annoyotron plus Frothing Berserker. Basically, I'm not doing the trading, and the piloted Shredder doesn't have any value unless it dies. Otherwise, it's just a 4/3. So by not trading, I'm not allowing him to basically utilize the value of the Shredder until it dies. What? That's a play. Okay, so Consecrate down makes Consecrate quality less likely, and he also doesn't have coin. Play Annoytron and then Frothing. Trade this off, pump up the Frothing. We probably should have thought about how to deal with Sludge Belcher next turn, which makes this potentially not the best play.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
We gotta watch out for Quartermasters, so we will definitely be at least trading that in. And we will be killing another one off. And I hate playing Hobgoblin for no value, but I feel like I really need to get rid of these 1/1s, and it still gets some value in that it does get the damage in. There is a deck list, and I think this should bring it up.
The victory.
Power of Frothing Berserker with some protection. I don't know, he just made some weird plays in that game. I didn't understand the Consecrate play. I guess he really wanted to get rid of the Warbot. What would I have done instead? Knowing what he had, I probably would have attacked the Acolyte. Maybe played Muster. I will say though, so far we've played against some Mage decks and some Paladin decks, and at least the Mage decks are actually, they should be favorable for us. We've had a really good record against Mage thus far. Alright, so Fiery War Axe is a keep. Cruel by itself isn't. Then, because we have the Fiery War Axe, we can get, if we get 1-drops, we're able to protect them and then milk value out of it. Alright, so Cogmaster, even double Cogmaster seems really strong here, because I can follow up with Annoytron. And then, like, I either just Fiery War Axe whatever he plays, or I drop Annoytron.
I'll show them. I'll show them all.
I guess it's like, how do I want to deal with Mirror Entity is a question. Like, I partially wish I didn't use that coin, and instead I played 1 Cogmaster. This turn I would axe the Mad Scientist, and the next turn I would play a Cogmaster to trigger the Mirror Entity. But then again, like I said, there's no guarantee it's Mirror Entity quite yet. We axe this, and then we play a Neutron the following turn. It triggers... I run, I guess, both Cogmasters in. I guess I'm okay with that. As opposed to playing the Neutron now, having him attack into it, and I trade the Neutron in. I still need to find another minion. Alright. I think I like this play a little bit better because I have multiple weapons again, and I need to start planning for that.
Hurry up. Portals online.
This is actually not that good for me, because Mirror Entity is going to give him another Annoytron. So here, the curve actually ends up being really terrible for us. And the reason why I don't want to give him another Neutron is because Blast Mage is just going to do work on us. But I guess I don't really have a choice. I guess my only hope is that it's not Mirror Entity. That's the only play I have.
I'll fix you.
And I need to start getting to work on this shield, because I do have a weapon oncoming. So I think overall, coining out that Cogmaster is a little bit hasty. My original line of thought was that, you know, up against Mech Mage, you want to gain as much tempo as possible. Because you're both contesting for board, but I guess that play ended up being really weak against Mirror Entity. So Piloted Shredder seems like a decent play. If I play Death Spite, it's not going to do anything except just ping off a shield. I guess it's not that different. I guess the thing is, the Whirlwind effect might be relevant, but I don't think so. So I guess Piloted Shredder is the best play here, and then I just get rid of that. Or maybe I should have actually killed the Enoyotron. I mean, sorry. I get rid of the Divine Shield, play Death Spite, and then attack that. No, that doesn't seem that good either. Okay. That was a certainty. Then what is my follow-up play? Shredder, Warbot, probably save the Warbot. Honey Siren says, I think you should have ignored the scientist and played Annoy to pressure him. That's probably true. I was just worried because that means the next thing to get Mirror Entitied would have been Piloted Shredder. Alright, I think I need to play the Death Spite here.
Something needs tinkering?
Warsong Commander, Warbot, attack, trade. He's left with something. Yeah, this doesn't look too good. Probably should have attacked this too. But I wanted to save the Whirlwind effect so that until there's a little bit more on the board, and so that I can actually combine it with more minions. Fireball. Does that mean I'm dead next turn? So what am I hoping for here? I play Warsong Commander, and this is where Warsong Commander bug again ends up being relevant, because I could use that to trigger the Piloted Shredder Death Rattle to get charge. Well, anyways, this is originally what I was thinking of. Doing.
Battle commencing.
But yeah, in all likelihood I'm dead if he's gonna fireball my face the previous turn. But yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you the importance of planning out your early turns correctly. Because of how like tempo-oriented this deck is, even a small misstep like that just ends up snowballing it in reverse for you. Alright, I'll do like 1 or 2 more games, and then I gotta call it for today. I wish I could show you guys some better games, as I haven't been playing that well tonight. But I think you guys have seen some of the potential that this deck does have.
For Doomhammer. Victory or death.
Alright, so we have played like against a grand total of I think 1 or 2 Shaman. Fiery War Axe isn't like awesome, but might be worth keeping here. And then because we have the Fiery War Axe, we're able to protect our 1-drops. Whereas if you have something like a Cogmaster without a mech, or just the Warbot, and they have a 3/2, then it ends up being... those draws end up being very weak. So here, I think I might coin out the Cogmaster. Which makes it so that I probably should have coined out the Neutron turn 1, but without knowing that I'd get the Cogmaster this turn, I wouldn't be able to make that play. Okay, so my guess, this Manatide, my guess is that this guy is playing Hot Forms deck, who runs Bloodlust and double Manatide. Other than that, though, I'm not super familiar with the list. Except that it does run Bloodlust, and I guess it runs Feral Spirit, which some Shaman had actually dropped for a while. But we'll see, we'll see. Just seeing 1 Manatide doesn't necessarily give that away. So, attack the Cogmaster. I guess I do have a glut of weapons, so I'm going to attack the Creeper, and then... okay. So we'll play the Shredder, and we'll kill the Creeper. And I'm actually not going to attack with the Warbot here, because I don't want to be that weak against Lightning Storm. But I guess it doesn't matter. I think the single points of damage right now don't really feel like they matter. But yeah, so this sets up a pretty reasonable Lightning Storm for him. I'm trying to think if there's a way to play around that, because the Lightning Storm would have killed the Annoyotron regardless, which would have allowed him to send his 1/1 into the Warbot. So I lost out on 2 points of damage here. Alright, but he is overloaded for the next turn. I think 2 is about the same as 3. I guess I could leave this Wrath of Air Totem up, but that is a little bit scary. Axing it does feel weak as well. But I have Jeeves, so I feel like I need to start playing around that. I think if he didn't roll the Taunt Totem that same turn he had the Hunt Creeper, then I wouldn't have had to commit so many things to clearing it the way I did. I might have been able to play around Lightning Storm there. Alright, so we're not able to play Jeeves for many cards. I probably should have played the Frothing first, but I'm gonna play Jeeves anyways. Alright, and we draw into Jeeves, which, you know, isn't too bad, because now he's never going to use Jeeves' value, so he's probably going to kill the Jeeves as soon as he can. And it's nice to get rid of this Execute. So we run in Execute, we run the Jeeves into the Boombot, we kill the other Boombot, we play Frothing. Question is, like, how early do you want to play Frothing? I think it's too much of a disaster if our Cruel Task gets hit by one of the Boombots. So we need to run the Boombot in first. Or run the Cruel Task in first. And then we execute. And then we run the Jeeves in. The Boombot goes wherever. And... Okay. Okay, that went about as well as we could have hoped. The reason why we wanted to clear the board is we just wanted to make sure that it's not easy for him to get Flame Tongue value here. And to clear this kind of board with what he's got is a little bit difficult. Like, I don't think there are a lot of things that we want to execute in this matchup. So if we dump 3 cards, then we'll get 2 cards back. And he's still playing catch up here. I wonder what he thinks is more threatening, the Jeeves or the Warsong Commander. I actually want him to kill the Jeeves, because the Warsong Commander, I don't have another one in hand, and I have a second Jeeves that I can play with Hobgoblin.
That belongs in a museum.
Okay, that's a little bit unfortunate, but again, he's never going to get Jeeves out, so he hexes the Warsong Commander. Alright. How much of our hand can we dump? Hobgoblin plus Acolyte, or Hobgoblin plus MechWarrior plus Jeeves? I don't want to expose both my Jeeves on the same board, so we'll play Hobgoblin plus MechWarrior plus Acolyte of Pain. So I assume that he's going to find a way to kill my Hobgoblin this turn. Might be a little bit more difficult to get good Jeeves value this turn, but we kill the Alec here. I don't think there's any way around that. And I think it's important to clear this creeper. So we play Commander plus MechWarrior plus Warbot. That's 6 mana. No, that's 5 mana. Oh, there's our Frothing Berserker. We still get another draw from Jeeves, which is really nice.
Battle commencing.
But that's our last Warsong Commander, so when it dies, we can't do any more charge combos, which is unfortunate.
Sorry that happened.
it's not that big of a deal. I mean, yeah, we lose out on our entire board, but we still get 2 draws from it. I'm trying to think. How can we posture the best? I guess we do need to be protective of our life total. Maybe we kill the Drake.
I wonder.
If we kill the Drake, then we can also play the Frothing Berserker, which he'll probably trade. Or we could play the Dr. Boom, but I think we lose if we play the Dr. Boom. So we attack the Drake, or we attack the Harrison. It doesn't really matter too much. We play the Task, and we play, I guess we play the Frothing. We only have 4 cards left in our deck, so Jeeves actually isn't even all that good. Alright, what do we got here? We attack the Spirit Wolf, we attack with the Cruel Task. I mean, I guess we should probably give a Dr. Boom a try. And hope we get some favorable boom bots here. Nope.
No problem.
And then I think we're close enough to death that we need to hero power.
I've got the beast in my
Okay. Alright, so looks like this game is another loss. The plays are there, like, to think that we got all the way down to 2 cards with a reasonable hand isn't actually that bad. KG asks, how does this deck fare against Face Hunters? I haven't faced a lot of Face Hunters. I'd say it's a pretty even matchup. It usually comes down to top deck wars and how you like whether you want to use Jeeves, like who can use Jeeves better. There are some occasions where you're behind and you have to play Jeeves, or you lose anyways, where Jeeves like isn't the worst thing. There are times when you're ahead and then you might not want to play Jeeves because it's the only way to come back. But yeah, I need to play like this deck is brand spanking new, and I still don't know how a lot of the matchups go. So I'm learning along the way. So this is a perfect curve, but we really do prefer having weapons. We'll give this a try anyways. I think what we really want to see is a Death Spite, because it allows us to deal with things like Dark Cultist really nicely. I think if I didn't have the Noyotron, this hand would be a lot less likely to be a good hand, because the Warbot could be picked off, whereas the Noyotron is going to force him to punch through the Noyotron before he can start eating the Warbot with something big. Alright, so we'll play the Noyotron, and I guess the next thing we'll see is if he plays a Dark Cultist this turn, coins it out.
You might feel a little tingle.
Okay, that is interesting. Alright, we'll play the Frothing, and I don't think there's any reason to trade.
The blade be turned.
Battle commencing.
Because Shadow Madness isn't able to do any work here. So I'm not worried about Shadow Madness if I leave this up. I'm trying to think what other things could I be afraid of. I think Pyromancer plays could be pretty good. If he played like Pyro, Powered Shield, Coin Smite. That's 3 spells. That wipes my whole board and clears out the Frothing Berserker. But that's such a specific combination that I don't think it justifies me playing around it. I think Sludge Belcher is a likely play next turn. I actually want to Death Spite this, but I want to consider other options because there are a lot of options. I could go for the double Frothing play.
What now?
If he coins out a Sludge Belcher, it's very difficult for me to punch through that, though. I think I like the Death Spite play the most.
Battle commencing.
It does a lot of good things. First, it sets up the Death Spite for Sludge Belcher. It sets it up with the Frothing in play. It makes the Frothing 4 attack. It allows me to enrage my Warbot with the Whirlwind effect. And it's also most on curve, as opposed to playing the Frothing Berserker. Like right now, he's facing, what, 10 points of damage? Not counting the Whirlwind effect, which is worth 4. So he's facing 14 points of damage next turn. Plus, every minion he plays increases the amount of damage I can do. So his best play would be, oh wow, okay. Like, so now I'm kind of scared. Like, why would he just pass that entire turn? If he had an Akanai play, I think he would play it. So, I'm just going to drop the Shredder and the Warbot and just go continue. And now if he has an Akanai circle play, I'll just go well played, because that would be one heck of a patient play. Especially when you count out the amount of damage that I could have done last turn. Like, even Light Bomb isn't that good. It kills the Frothing Berserker, which is going to be the primary source of damage. But almost everything else lives. Like, I still have a thing that spawns from Shredder.
I must consider.
And the way he's hovering over his cards kind of suggests that if he had an Akanai, he would have slammed it for sure. And Shadow Madness doesn't do anything. Cabal Shadow Priest sort of does something. It gives him a taunt, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Because what, I'll attack it, and then... Uh-oh. Well, there's no way he has 4 spells, right? 1.
Is someone injured?
Oh my gosh. What's happening here? I don't understand. Honorable Sudoku? Help me create the biggest frothing ever? Ah, there we go. Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Battle commencing. Battle commencing.
Yeah, he knew it. Hey, Flying Whale. Nice of you to stop by. You always come in on my very last game of the night. Alright, in honor of you, I will play maybe one more game. But yeah, this deck is a lot of fun. I mean, even the games that I lost, I felt very much in the game. Like, I felt like there were actually decisions to be made.
versus Malfurion.
I must protect the wild.
Yeah, this deck can be hard, but I would say that it's easier than the original MechWarrior. So it's very tempting to double Cogmaster or Neutron in this one. So Knuckle Gnar asks, can you link your deck tracker to me, or I can't find a good one? There should be a link on the bottom of my Twitch channel. So yeah, as expected, the win rate has been dropping in the rank 50 range, or not rank 50, rank 5 range. To be fair, I haven't been playing it very well for some of these matchups, but the fact that it's still maintaining close to a 50% win rate is still promising, because if you can't maintain at least 50% win rate, then the deck probably isn't worth really considering. Hobgoblin or Acolyte of Pain.
What now?
I think I'm going to continue the face strategy, so I'm going to deal, 4 damage, so he'll be at 20. If I play the Hobgoblin, he needs a spell to punch through it. Swipe would be incredibly good. I guess...
What now?
I guess I should go for it. Because I'm going to use the Death Spite next turn, and then I'm going to use Acolyte on turn 5 to draw a card. Alright, so there's that swipe that I said would be insanely good against me. And like, nothing about this turn is good. I could play Jeeves and I could trade, but I don't want to play Jeeves like that, which means I could play Death Spite and I could kill it, but that's also not great. At the very least, I might be able to force him to Hero Power next turn. And if he plays something like Druid of the Claw, I still have enough damage on board to punch through. So, if I played Acolyte of Pain, I would have the same board state, but I'd have one more draw, and I'd have Hobgoblin in my hand instead. What the heck? Okay. I'm a little confused here. I guess he's playing Druid of the... So I'll play Orson Commander, empty board, Hero Power. Hopefully I can get him to trade the Jungle Panther in, maybe. Or if he leaves it up, I'm fine with that too. Or if he uses a spot removal on it, that's also good, because it makes Jeeves harder to deal with. And
Where shall I strike?
I mean, the Panther suggests a number of things. The Panther mainly suggests Druid of the Fang. Or he's creating a very unique deck. I think maybe playing the Jeeves earlier might have been better. I might end up burning an Execute on one of these guys. What's my bit rate? I actually don't know my bit rate. Let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up in a bit. Alright, so the Cruel Task is my saving grace here, so that I don't have to use an Execute in the most embarrassing sort of way. Because, like I said, if he's running Druid of the Fang, then Execute's actually going to be really key.
Snakes. It has to be snakes.
Okay. Anyways, where was I?
What now?
So I guess we can get a draw from the Haunted Creeper, and we can charge out a really large Frothing Berserker, which is nice. So Warsong Commander, Frothing Berserker. We can get another draw from it.
Bring the pain.
No problem.
Well, in any case, I'm going to ignore those guys for now. I don't know what the deal with that is. Am I dead? Okay, so he's just using this to clear. This is gonna make Jeeves not that great for me. Because he practically has an empty hand too. But who's gonna benefit from an empty hand more? I guess I'll play it anyways. Like, if he has second combo, that's fine, whatever.
Let me get that.
All in all, like, I think if I don't play the Jeeves, I'm in trouble. If I play the Jeeves, I'm in trouble. So, I might as well go down swinging. Well, good news is that he only gets one draw. The bad news is it looks like he's setting up for lethal next turn. So we play second Mech Warper. I guess we drop the Acolyte. We execute this guy. Hero power. Clear as much as possible, so we just don't die to very simple things. I guess I'm being raided. I don't know. But yeah. Alright, that's actually good for me because I don't mind him having Jeeves. I like being able to control whether I get to draw the cards or whether he's drawing the cards. He doesn't even, again, he's not even able to effectively dump his hand. So, how do I want to deal with this? I could kill the Mind Control tech, drop an Neutron Piloted Shredder, or I could just go for the face and drop the same thing. Either